Training under low pressure now.
Then we are going to find you.
Hello guys, welcome. This is episode 3, part 2. Please stay tuned and listen in. Mr. Cosmas,
Yes.
I understand you have worked on bigger projects for a long time, and even now as we speak you might be working on something different. What work ethics would you attribute to your continuing success?
I think the most important thing is being totally honest with what you are going to deliver and then live up to it. Because I've seen the growing concern among clients, especially during times of maybe a lot of pressure and tight deadlines. People accept work and when somewhere in the middle perhaps get more lucrative deals, and then you end up dropping your current commitment, and then you go on around lying around that maybe you're perhaps doing the work when you're not, and then in the long run it creates this mistrust that we are the kind of guys who operate in a very, the right term to say is that it's unprofessional. So, and it ends up branding us entirely like that, which in turn also kills your image as a person. We are in the age of personal branding. The moment you have one bad client, that is like a bad reputation you have, a campaigner you have. If he's ever approached for anything, say I have a bunch of guys, but so and so is like this and that, and then in the long run you may have got more money on whatever you got along the way, but in the long run it does a disservice to you. So that is the first and the most important.
Honesty.
Yeah, honesty. Yeah, because even if you got something and the money isn't that much, you always stay on with it and see it through. Some projects have turned out to be huge burdens. You think it will be short and nice, then there are a lot of changes and what, but I always make it a point to see it through. And in the unfortunate circumstance that you can't see it through, then be honest about it. Yes, no one is going
To hold you.
to hang you for yeah, it is always better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So Cosmas,
Mm.
I understand there is a lot of pressure in the illustration industry, and I would ask, how do you deal with that kind of pressure? Or you have not experienced it?
Pressure is the one thing that is always consistent on all calls for job applications. Whoever is applying is supposed to be able to work under pressure at long and odd hours. That is something we all say yes to until you actually get
to eat.
when you get under the pressure. But I think the most important thing is to always stay calm. Not calm in terms of being laid back and not doing the work, but be calm and consistent. Most people have, whenever, first of all, pressure comes down to different characters. How we handle pressure some people are really good at making the proper logical decisions under pressure. Others are, but it is something you can learn. It's something you can learn. You should always stay calm, and however bad the situation is, always stay in touch. For the cases where you're working remotely, as in most cases it will be, always stay in touch. thing I can say, because most illustrators have this habit of maybe switching off the phone when you have been overwhelmed. Yes.
So when you have not met your
Yes.
deadline.
Yes, it is not good at all. However bad things are, always endeavor to stay in touch. If you have not completed, or realistically speaking, you're not going about to always say what is on ground, because it helps with proper decision making. After that, someone is not going to kill you just because you haven't finished. Yeah, it is always because when you give proper feedback, then they make decisions accordingly, proper decisions, and if they are to make adjustments somewhere else, they do. It helps you in the longer run. And sometimes, from personal experience, there is a time I was a little bit back. I was behind schedule, and the client called, and I was like, now what am I going to do? What am I going to tell this person? Yet I promised them at this time I'd be delivering something, and I have zero. So I was contemplating between not picking the calls and picking. But at the last minute I say, okay, let me just pick. Whatever happens, that will be. So I picked the call, and then he asked me about the work. Hesitantly, very hesitantly, I said, okay, I hadn't done the work. Okay, it wasn't yet complete. Then he told me, oh, that is good to know, because we had made a lot of changes, so it would be absurd if you had to repeat all that work. So you see the importance of actually being in touch. If I was going to ignore the calls and then go through the whole too much hard work and only to deliver it much later, and like, hi, and we called you and you are not picking, now you have delivered, but we made changes to this. So that is just one example of why you should always stay in touch at all costs. So, but even if it doesn't happen, even if it doesn't come to that, yeah, with a greater benefit, always stay calm and be in touch. Yes.
Stay in touch all the time. So how do you market yourself, or how do you find clients, and how do you let the other person who is beginning the industry to really be consistent on a pool of clients or altogether?
While starting out, me and my colleagues at the time, we were fortunate at the time. Publishing houses were a good starting place for illustrators, both in terms of getting some money, but also they are good at drilling the most. If you go through the challenges of a publishing house in terms of illustration, most probably you will overcome any other challenge that comes up later, because the pressure is intense. The work is the most work you have to produce in the shortest time possible without minimizing quality. So they were usually good starting places for us, and then from that point, referrals worked very much. So one way is that for Gaysword campus, see, when you seek out internships at maybe publishing houses, they are like the number one customers for illustration. They need it in bulk.
Whenever still marketing.
Yes. Whenever it comes up, whenever projects come up, they usually need illustrators in bulk. So those are like the number one clients. And then from that, depending on how you execute the work, most definitely you get more people to work with. And then the other channel of marketing yourself is obviously in the age of social media. You have to put your work out there. Now, the people who who see that work, I'll be honest, in most cases they will not be your clients. We know the kind of people who are on social media, but those people know people who will be your clients. So it is good to always put your work there. You can be so good in your room, but no one will know about it.
Yes. If you don't put yourself out there.
Yeah. And then every time you get a chance to work with someone, do your best. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. And
actually, I think the chance to work with the Daily Monitor at the time came when I was in second year campus, and I don't usually post work on, and if you go to my Facebook, there isn't a lot of artwork apart from at least I think maybe one picture. That one picture is what got me the note, because someone saw it and thought maybe you're good enough to work here. So social media acknowledge that.
It's a good start, good place to market yourself and your work.
Yes.
Okay. So, right now, what are you working on, and what are your future plans in this line of work?
In this kind of work, you don't get a lot of chances to work on your personal work for leisure. But these days I've been trying to do some personal work in terms of animation, moving on to 2D animation other than the normal illustration. Yeah. So that's what I'm working on, trying to
future
grow.
plans.
Yes.
So it's that you're trying to grow up. It's your future plan.
Yes. Yeah. It is both the future and current. I'm working on it, but also not stopping right now to actually grow it, and maybe somewhere in the future we start up something like, and I don't know if online or physical, but some sort of art school that can teach people how to do this kind of work. Because as time goes by, it seems there are less people in the industry, on this side of things. Almost every time you go to work on something, as a must, the people you find there, the people you're going to work with, you have ever worked with them. So it shows that maybe it is saturated in that kind of.
So, yes, our last question is, what resources would you recommend to a starting illustrator who's out there?
Like we had said before, you have to make good use of the internet. We are lucky to be in the information age. So among the things I would recommend, you have to read books every once in a while. Yes. Most resources that have helped me have been books, especially with both animation and illustration. The advantage with books is that they give you well structured and organized information, which is
different from the
which is different from, let's say, YouTube, because YouTube you will only learn what you have thought about. Yes, I want to make this. Then you go. Then you end up with patches of knowledge that you may not be able to put together to produce something coherent. Then maybe you're in the middle somewhere, you realize there's something you don't know. Yeah, that is one way of learning, which is also good. It is spontaneous and natural, and then you come out in your own way. But then also books, on the other hand, give you maybe an entire picture of what you're supposed to do. So among books with illustration, I used a lot of figure drawing without a model by Ron Tyner, but that's a figure drawing without a model or routine. And it focuses on how you understand the human anatomy and being able to use it within your imagination to do other pieces of work without necessarily having to refer to it a lot. The other method, the other channel is obviously YouTube, like we had earlier discussed. Yes.
Cosmas, as we are winding up, please kindly tell or share with our viewers where people can find you, or if someone needs your services, where do they find you in this body of work?
Okay, we opened social media pages. For now, it is only Facebook and YouTube. So our YouTube channel is called Pencilline Studios.
Pencilline Studios.
And our Facebook is still Pencilline.
Okay.
Pencilline, yes. And most of the work there currently, like you had asked, is new experimentational work with 2D animation. So far, yes. They are young pages, so you can through and support.
Okay. And sure to look up for Pencilline Studios, say?
Yes, and subscribe to them.
Okay, I'll definitely do that and share with the young viewers. Thank you very much, Mr. Arinitwe Cosmas, for your information. I hope the young people out there, they have learned a lot from you, and hopefully they'll put it to use, especially for those who want to venture or want to begin the illustration industry and do something for themselves, or even make a name, or maybe surpass you.
Oh, yes.